High-profile trials, they often bring this really intense focus, don't they? Not just on, the legal stuff, but on the really personal, often difficult testimony.
Absolutely. And today, we're taking one of those deep dives. We're looking at the reported proceedings from the federal trial involving Sean Diddy Combs.
Right, specifically focusing on excerpts from a YouTube transcript. It covers the testimony of a witness identified only as Jane Doe.
Yeah, so that transcript, reporting on what was apparently said in court, that's our source here. And it's dense material. Pretty challenging stuff given the seriousness of it all.
Definitely. So our mission today is really just to unpack this testimony and only based on what's in that source material.
Exactly. We'll highlight the key allegations Jane Doe reportedly made, try to follow the thread of the experience she described.
And also touch on the defense counterpoints that were mentioned in that same source material. It's all about helping you understand the specific information presented in court from this one account.
Pulling out the crucial details, essentially navigating the reported transcript of her time on the stand.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of her alleged account. According to this source, Jane Doe is anonymous, testifying about a relationship with Combs starting, she said, back in 2020.
And she alleged this pattern, right? Manipulation, use of illegal substances, and sexual exploitation.
She reportedly testified she wasn't, officially his girlfriend, but got drawn into this world she described as control and coercion.
And a big part of her testimony revolved around these events she called hotel nights.
Hotel nights. Okay, and according to her testimony, these were basically intercourse parties, allegedly orchestrated by Combs pretty regularly between, May 2021 and October 2023.
Yeah, that's the time frame she reportedly gave.
Yeah.
And she testified she was, expected to have intercourse during these nights. Often, she said, with multiple male entertainers.
And Combs' alleged role, watching, filming, directing,
Oh.
sometimes participating himself. That's what the testimony claimed.
That's what was reported, yes. And she detailed these alleged methods of coercion, too, like being given illegal substances she named ecstasy, Molly, Puccina, Binktucci.
Given by Combs or his staff, allegedly.
Right. And she also talked about pressure points, guilt trips, she alleged, or him referencing the $10,000 a month he reportedly paid for her rent, making her feel obligated.
Wow. And that pressure, she testified, it extended to being forced to, quote, push through, even when she was allegedly dealing with pain or infections or even throwing up or crying.
Yeah, and there was that really disturbing quote she attributed to Combs after she apparently vomited once.
That's good.
Yeah, you ready for the third guy? Just awful, but true.
God. And she also testified about being forced to apologize to an entertainer under Combs' instruction after she tried to, opt out of something.
Yes, but what's also striking, as reported in her testimony, is the complexity around her own alleged involvement.
How so?
Well, Jane reportedly admitted on the stand that sometimes she arranged for performers herself. She named Sly Paul, Anton Don, Leo.
She arranged them.
Apparently. Sometimes booking flights, she said, maybe getting help from his assistant because she herself was allegedly under the influence of illegal substances.
Okay. And these encounters, she testified, were sometimes framed as gifts for Combs.
Yeah, for special occasions, reportedly. And yet, even while recounting these, allegedly traumatic experiences, she also testified that she loved Kay, her name for him, presumably.
Right.
And that she would sort of block out how she felt just to be close to him afterwards. She even recalled moments of tenderness, according to the testimony.
That's incredibly complicated, that mix of alleged trauma and, attachment or love.
It really highlights those complex dynamics you sometimes see described in allegedly abusive relationships. She reportedly broke down on the stand at one point, saying she felt like just a freaky desire to him, not someone really loved.
And the testimony also included specific communications, right? Texts and things.
Yes, allegedly presented as evidence, like texts where Combs supposedly asked for photos or videos. And she described reacting to a podcast where Combs allegedly bragged about prolonged intercourse. Her reported text was pretty blunt. You're using this to get your D hard for someone else.
Wow. And she said she wouldn't come to New York for a hotel binge, feeling like that's all she was wanted for?
Exactly. And his alleged response, according to her testimony, just podcast talk. Dismissive.
And you mentioned the text about the rent obligation earlier?
Yeah. I don't want to feel obligated that you'll stop paying my rent. That was reportedly shown. There were also voice messages, one where he allegedly called it a true open relationship, and a FaceTime where he apparently used, calming tactics.
The testimony also got into specific trips, didn't it?
It did. A New York trip where she alleged feeling really upset and defeated when he asked about entertainment or movie night.
And she testified about having intercourse with Sly in front of Combs at the Trump Hotel on that trip.
That's what she alleged.
Yeah.
And then a later Miami trip involving Sly, too.
And there was an argument in L.A.?
Right, where Combs allegedly wanted to set up another party, and Jane reportedly discovered he was online with an ex-girlfriend, which apparently upset her quite a bit.
Some of those reported texts reflecting the emotional toll sound really heavy.
They were. She allegedly wrote things like, "I am not a PN star. These experiences are desensitizing intercourse for me."
She explained PN star meant an adult film performer, in her view.
Yes, that's how she reportedly defined it. And she also allegedly wrote, "It's been 3 years of me having to have intercourse with strangers," and that she needed a spiritual break, saying intercourse is sacred to me.
Just heartbreaking to hear reported.
And the testimony also claimed Combs often called her a derogatory term.
Yeah, that came up multiple times in the report, including one instance where she apparently asked about having her perform oral intercourse on someone's D.
That was one reported example, yes.
Yes.
This alleged pattern of name-calling was described as frequent.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit. The source also reports on the defense's side their counterpoints in court.
Right. According to the transcript we're looking at, Combs' legal team is actually demanding a mistrial. They're claiming the government used false testimony.
A mistrial. On what grounds specifically?
Well, a key point seems to be challenging earlier, really dramatic testimony. Remember the story about Combs allegedly dangling Brianna Bangolan over a balcony?
Vaguely, yes.
The defense reportedly attacked Brianna's version of events. And they challenged Cassie Ventura's testimony about it, too, basically saying Cassie only heard about it, she didn't witness it. Hearsay, essentially.
So they're questioning the credibility of those accounts. Did they offer anything else?
Yeah, they reportedly pointed to alleged inconsistencies in Brianna's timeline. And they presented what they claimed was an alibi for Combs using hotel records, old articles, to supposedly place him in New York when the balcony incident allegedly happened in L.A.
An alibi defense. Interesting. And challenging photos, too.
Right, photos of alleged injuries shown to the jury. The defense argued they were part of a, quote, misleading narrative by the prosecution.
Okay. And the defense also claimed prosecutors were trying to paint Combs as having, like, shady influence.
Yeah, through incidents that seemed kind of unrelated. They reportedly brought up something about Kid Cudi's fingerprints allegedly disappearing, and a witness testifying they got out of tickets just by mentioning Combs' name. The defense argued this was all just strategy, trying to make Combs look untouchable and prejudice the jury.
So, suggesting the jury was being fed an unfair picture of him?
Pretty much. That seemed to be their angle, based on the report.
And there was another significant development mentioned in the source regarding Combs' former chief of staff, Christina Corum.
Yes, that was flagged. Prosecutors apparently referred to her in court as an agent and co-conspirator.
Agent and co-conspirator, that sounds legally significant.
It really is. As the report explains, that language usually implies she's likely reached some kind of agreement with the prosecution.
Meaning she might testify.
Potentially, yes. An agent, in this context, means someone who allegedly acted on behalf of, or did tasks for, another person as part of the alleged criminal activity.
So the implication is Combs might not be the only one facing potential consequences here, based on the prosecution's case.
Exactly. That's what the report suggests this development points towards.
Okay, let's circle back to Jane Doe's testimony. The source talks about the impact of external events, especially Cassie Ventura's lawsuit becoming public in late 2023.
Right. Jane Doe's reaction as she reportedly testified was incredibly strong. She said she fainted, felt it was a nightmare.
And described reading Cassie's allegations as like reading her own story.
Yeah, she reportedly testified she even screenshotted parts of the lawsuit because they felt so similar to her own alleged experiences.
Wow. And her text reaction that was reportedly shown in court.
It was sent days after Cassie's suit went public. Quoted as, 4 in one night and now I'm going to the doctor. Then 3 days later I wrote, I'm feeling I'm reading my own sexual trauma. God finally woke me up about this cycle you gaslit me.
That really captures that alleged sense of recognition, that awakening she described.
Definitely. And she testified that after Cassie's lawsuit, there was about a 3-month break in physical contact with Combs, November 23 to Feb 24. But they kept communicating.
And during that time, she sent another powerful text, December 7th.
Yes, reportedly stating, I'm crying, and it's so close to some nights I felt forced. And also, please stop using women for your fetish and leave women alone who don't want those nights for you. Hire prostitutes and stop emotionally harming women that love you.
What was Combs' alleged reaction to that, according to her testimony?
Defensive, reportedly. He allegedly called her that derogatory term again, F crazy, and accused her of recording him.
And her reason for sending those texts then?
She testified it was because these alleged hotel nights were this shameful, dark secret she'd never told anyone. She felt she had to vent to him, the only person she could, even knowing the likely reaction.
This period of distance then reportedly led to a discussion about money, compensation.
Yeah, a FaceTime call in December 2023. She testified, Combs repeatedly told her to charge me for your resentment and get over this, and also allegedly said, I don't want any loose ends.
Loose ends, okay. And did she follow up on the charge me part?
Reportedly, yes.
Okay.
She sent him a text outlining terms for potential compensation. She testified she felt it should be hundreds of thousands of dollars covering the 3 years of the alleged relationship.
And his reaction to that?
Angry, according to her testimony, allegedly calling her an opportunist, a liar, a con artist, and even, allegedly, threatening to show an intercourse tape of her to her child's father.
That's a serious alleged threat. She also testified about trying to become financially independent around then, early 2024.
Yeah, she mentioned a trip in January 24 where she saw Anton again.
Yeah.
And she started an OnlyFans account.
OnlyFans. What did she say about the content?
She described it generally, lingerie, swimwear, implied nudity, covering her body, said it was an effort to be on my own 2 feet. She also mentioned getting money, like $9 from someone named Bear for advertising.
Okay. But then, according to her testimony, Combs reached out again February 2024.
Yes, reportedly saying he'd had a dream about her. She testified she missed him, so she saw him for her birthday in Miami.
And did things change or go back to the old patterns?
Well, her testimony described using illegal substances, ecstasy, at the birthday dinner, and Combs allegedly asking if she wanted to see Dawn.
Dawn, one of the entertainers mentioned before.
Right. She testified she was high, agreed, and then reportedly had intercourse with Dawn there. So it seems the alleged pattern returned.
And they continued seeing each other in 2024, Miami, LA.
Yes, often staying in, she testified. This was during that period when Combs was getting a lot of negative press after the Cassie lawsuit surfaced.
Was there more conflict?
She testified about an argument over that money she got from Bear. Combs reportedly found the texts, got upset. They argued about her apparent debt, even though she was, as she put it, dating a millionaire who paid her rent.
And she testified he did continue paying her rent, and even her lawyer, currently.
That's what she stated on the stand, yes. Rent continued, and he's currently paying for her lawyer, according to her testimony.
Okay, the reported testimony then takes a really dark turn, describing escalating tension leading up to a specific alleged violent incident in June 2024.
Yeah, June 18th, 2024, at Combs' LA home. Her testimony described it starting as a setup for a date night.
But something went wrong.
She testified she confronted him, said she saw him with another woman on a trip. She reportedly used a derogatory term about him based on their age difference. She said it was over 25 years, and her belief the girl was under 21, though over 18.
Okay, a confrontation. What happened next, according to her testimony?
She admitted to pushing his head and throwing things, candles, glass.
Yeah.
Said she didn't see them hit him, but she was angry.
And his alleged response.
Kicking down doors, she testified. Bedroom, bathroom, closet doors, reportedly.
Whoa.
And when she tried to run to the front door, she testified Combs caught her, allegedly kicked her hard in the back of the thigh, making her fall. Kick, that's the allegation. And then, she alleged, he picked her up and put her in some kind of hold where she struggled to breathe.
Oh my God.
She testified she managed to run away, hid outside for 2 hours, then came back.
Why did she go back?
The testimony didn't explicitly state why, just that she did. Back inside, she alleged throwing more glass and candles. And then, she testified, Combs started punching her head, dragging her by her hair and arms.
Punching her head, dragging her.
And calling her that derogatory term F crazy. Again, that's her testimony.
This is incredibly disturbing detail.
It is. She also testified he held her down to make her listen to a phone call with the woman she thought he'd been with.
Forced her to listen.
Allegedly. After that, she went to the shower and discovered injuries. She testified she had a black eye, welts, and while they were both naked in the shower, she alleged Combs slapped her, causing her to fall.
Slapped her in the shower.
That was her testimony. Then she said he told her to put ice on it and put on lingerie and heels.
Lingerie and heels, after allegedly being assaulted.
That's what she testified. She alleged Combs, then took her phone, started texting Anton another entertainer mentioned, and had the phone screen mirrored onto the TV.
So she could see the texts.
Everyone could, presumably. She testified Combs saw Anton's messages about mutual friends they had, and then questioned her in the guest bedroom about those friends and if she took illegal substances.
Okay. And then the testimony got even worse, didn't it?
It did. She made a truly shocking allegation that Combs gave her a pill with instructions, reportedly saying something like, "Take this F pill, you're not going to ruin my F night, go out there and perform oral intercourse on his D."
He allegedly told her to take a pill and perform oral intercourse on Anton.
That's what she testified.
Yeah.
She said she told him she didn't want to, and he allegedly asked if it was coercion.
Asked if it was coercion.
According to her testimony, yes. She then testified that she did consume the pill and performed oral intercourse on Anton while Combs allegedly watched.
How did she describe feeling?
Sick, not in her body, disgusted, terrible. That's how the testimony reported her description.
And after Anton left.
Combs allegedly called her a derogatory term. She also testified Combs sent security with money like $10,000 to $12,000 for Anton, she thought, plus $4,000 for the broken doors. And she then sent money to Anton herself.
Sent money to Anton after allegedly being forced.
Wow.
Okay. So what happened after that night?
The testimony covered the aftermath. She reportedly messaged with Combs. He allegedly kept accusing her of cheating. She testified she apologized.
You apologize.
Yes. She saw him a few days later, described feeling sad. Said Combs told her they were breaking up. His assistant also reportedly testified, but only said they saw Jane crying that night.
And she mentioned filming her injuries?
Inadvertently, apparently. In a video she took with Combs later on, her injuries were visible, she testified.
Yeah, she blocked him.
Yeah, after finding out he was with another woman in Wyoming, she testified she blocked him, but then unblocked him when his mother was hospitalized.
So communication restarted again? Was there more interaction?
Her testimony described one final alleged violent encounter, this time in Miami. She flew to meet him. It started okay, she said, but his mood allegedly changed when she said she was tired.
What allegedly happened?
He reportedly said something like, "A man spends all his money on you." Then allegedly threw water on her, called her a derogatory term again, and gave her an illegal substance pill identified as ecstasy this time.
No.
Paul, another name mentioned before, came over. She testified she was given another illegal substance, liquid Molly, and then had intercourse with Paul in front of Combs again.
Another instance of alleged coerced intercourse with someone else, watched by Combs.
That's what her testimony alleged, yes.
When was her last contact with him, according to the testimony?
Last saw him in August 2024. She testified she didn't go to New York later that month because that's when he was arrested.
And her current status, as reported in the testimony.
Yeah. She'd received a subpoena, obviously testified. She's been seeing a therapist for about 3 months. She noted her lawyer is still paid by Sean Combs, reportedly. And she said she's still processing everything.
Wow. Okay. That brings us through the core of her reported testimony from the source.
Yeah. And this deep dive, again, drawing just from that reported YouTube transcript of the court proceedings, it presents testimony that is incredibly heavy, very complex.
Absolutely. And we really have to reiterate, like we said at the start, presenting this is strictly reporting on what was allegedly said on the stand as it appeared in our source material.
Exactly. This isn't us endorsing any claims or viewpoints. It's an effort to help you understand the specific information that was reportedly presented to the court in this specific context.
Definitely. This account, as testified by Jane Doe, according to the source, it just raises these huge, profound questions, doesn't it? About power dynamics, about alleged coercion.
The long-term effects of trauma, and just the immense challenge of seeking or presenting truth in these kinds of really difficult legal proceedings.
So, as you, the listener, reflect on hearing this account from the reported testimony, maybe consider this. How do we even begin to understand the seemingly contradictory actions or emotions that get described by people caught in these complex, alleged abusive dynamics?
Right, like reportedly expressing love for someone while also detailing these deeply traumatic experiences allegedly caused by that same person. Yeah.
It's a lot to process. What stands out most to you after hearing this reported account unfold? Something to think about.